What's up, baseball fans, and what's up, Met fans? Welcome back to Talkin Mets at Rob. Another update, another day, more information about the MLB Lockout. Thank you guys for tuning in to Talkin Mets at Rob. Don't forget, guys, to please hit on that like button before you do anything else. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate all you guys tuning in today. Wait a few more minutes for more people to tune into the stream right now. We finally got some news that we were looking for during the 9 days in Florida. And that is nice to see. We will go through all the updates. When are they meeting? All the information that are starting talks again. So we're going to get into when they're meeting, what kickstarted the talks again regarding actual negotiations that will be starting tomorrow, guys. So that is big news on a Sunday. They are going right into it. So let's hope there's enough progress. And I do feel like there's probably a pretty good chance that there's going to be more movement to where everybody wants to be. And who knows if there's somehow in the early parts of next week that we can get a deal done. There's a strong possibility that we will actually have baseball in the second week of April. And that's of big significance, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But starting with what John Heyman tweeted about a half hour ago, he said MLB and the Players Union negotiators will resume talks tomorrow after a 1-day respite. It's mostly about the CBT now. That's exactly what was one of the most sticking points with the players regarding why they didn't even accept the deal or look at it longer than an hour on the last day of negotiations in Florida. That was the big thing. So hearing that the CBT is extremely on the table now and it's exactly where it needs to be, and that's what they need to be talking about and focusing on, because it seems like everything else is very easy to put together. The CBT is one of the largest things that are going to hold up this deal. And that's probably going to go into the arbitration pool, which, again, they're not too far apart. Along with the minimum salary. Remember, the owners did go up to $700,000 if they got something that the players are using as a negotiating chip, and that is the 14-team playoffs. And that is the biggest thing. And if you guys remember, in like day 6 or 7 of the MLB meetings in Florida, the owners gave two different options, one with the 12-team playoff, the other with the 14-team playoff. And the reason why I got so mad with the players is because they didn't even choose any of those options. They just came with their own proposal from their own group and went on that. They did not put in one of those options, which at the end of the day, it's looking like that's what's probably going to be into their proposal, which is the 14-team playoffs, which is the players' side biggest negotiating stick. They have that in their back pocket, and they knew the owners want that really, really much, and they're using it as a negotiating employee to get what they want in the CBT, probably the arbitration pool, and probably a little bit more in the minimum salary. So there's a pretty good chance that minimum salary is either going to be $700,000 or around $710,000, $715,000, respectfully. And the CBT, I still don't think that the owners are going to go up to $230,000 to start this season and then gradually go up, because if you guys remember, the Players Association wanted $238 million this year and gradually go up from there over the next 5 years of the new CBA. I don't think the owners are going to go that high, but I think if they start at 225 and negotiate to way to 230, I think that's going to be where the players are going to be happy with it, because that is around $15 million more than what the CBT is at this current moment from the old CBA. So once again, guys, what's up, guys? I'm going to say what's up in the comments, guys, and we can get started and talking about everything we need to know about the MLB lockout and, of course, our New York Mets. So who is on the stream today? John, Aiden, Mike, Stoney, member of Talkin Mets at Rob, Aiden, Steven, Sean, another member of Talkin Mets at Rob, Lindor, Daniel, Ken, Braden, Timothy. What's up, guys? Thank you guys for tuning in to a Saturday edition of Talkin' Mets with Rob live and more updates on the MLB Lockout. So once again, if you're just tuning in, John Heyman tweeted, MLB and the Players Union negotiators will resume talks tomorrow, which is Sunday, after a one-day respite. It's mostly about the CBT now. So again, whatever they spoke about yesterday or Thursday for that matter, with that one-on-one that they had, it was basically informal negotiate or talks regarding what is the main issue on the player side and what is the main issue on the owner side. And clearly, the owners really want the 14-team playoff, and the players really want the CBT to get increased. So that, at least, look, they finally actually told each other what they actually really wanted, and the two sticking points, which is both sides want something really, really bad. I think if the owners came back with the same final proposal with a $230 CBT and everything else that was in that final proposal, which was the arbitration pool around 25 to 30 million, with the minimum salary of 700,000, the 5-player draft lottery. I'll put it up here that I still have it. Where is it? There we go. All right, here we go. So this is what the final offer was, so you guys understand what was the final offer minus the CBT. It was the pre-arb pool of 30 million, a minimum salary of 700,000 with a $10,000 increase per year over the next 5 years, a 5-team draft lottery, and obviously the 12-team playoff. If you take away the 12-team playoff and put in the 14-team playoffs, which is the players' negotiating ploy that they were using in their back pocket to get the owners to change the CBT, 14-team playoff. So if they switch the 12-team playoff to a 14-team playoff and move that CBT to 230, I think that gets the deal done with everything that you see on the screen, minus the 12-team playoffs, which will change to 14, and the CBT that goes to 230. I think if they do those two things, I think everything's going to be solved, because I think the bigger thing, other than the minimum salary and the arbitration pool, the CBT was a few $1 million. It was like $4 million more than what it already is. Didn't really make the players really happy. And I also think that the players voiced their concerns regarding this last final proposal. I think some players actually liked the deal. And I think when Tony Clark and his representatives or his core of people heard more from other players, there was a lot of players that probably thought that was a pretty decent and fair deal, considering what the owners were offering a week ago, a week and a half ago. And I think he heard from more of his constituents, his union members, and realized that this deal was not something to be extremely mad at, because this was still a deal and a proposal that still had a little bit of leaks in it that they can actually patch up and make a proposal. When you heard Tony Clark on day 9 of the meetings, when he had his press conference, he says we couldn't make a counter offer because they said it was last and final offer, which was a joke. Everybody knew it wasn't the last and final offer. So that's why a lot of people got mad at the players' side, because of the fact they could have easily counter proposed last week and we could have still had a little bit more going on, and or at least this week, and could have actually finished probably a little bit more into this proposal than we are now. But again, at least they're getting some, at least they're having heavy, they're going to have strong negotiations tomorrow, which I think is actually a big thing. It seems like a lot of the movement in this negotiations was on the weekend. Like we saw the last day, or the second to last day, when they were there until 3 o'clock in the morning, from Sunday night into Monday morning. And again, I think they're going to start something like that tomorrow, which is the biggest key into finding out what each other wants, which now they know. So clearly the CBT and the 14-team playoff is going to be talked about, but I don't see how hard it's going to talk about when the players are like, we'll give you 14-team playoffs, but get up to $230 million for the CBT. And I think that gets the deal done with that other stuff that you see in the screen right now in that proposal. So do you guys think there can be a deal either by tomorrow or Monday? Because there is more traction on knowing what these two actually want at the moment. And is it possible? Can this deal get done by early next week? And we can probably start the season the second week in April, which is one of the biggest key to the whole season, whole thing here. Because if you guys haven't really paid attention or noticed about this, April 15th is the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier for Major League Baseball, which obviously is one of the biggest things in this country, considering that all the racism, all the terrible segregation in those times. And for the Dodgers, the Brooklyn Dodgers, to do that and to let Jackie Robinson play and break the color barrier, it was a huge deal for Major League Baseball. It was a huge starting point for the country. Not saying things got better right away, but it started to get African Americans in the game. It started to help Latinos get into the game a few years later. It started to build up to more and more African Americans playing in the major leagues. Obviously, there was the Negro leagues at the time, and everybody always used to talk about that. A lot of the major league players at the time didn't face any African American players who, let's be honest, guys, were very, very good, if not better, than a lot of those guys in the major leagues at the time that were 100% white at the time. So that is a big thing. I think baseball does not want to mess with that. They want to have a game. They need a regular season game at least starting on that day. And I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if you hear that they come up with a deal sometime this week and the first game of the year for the regular season is going to be April 15th, because it's a huge deal. A 75th anniversary for something that is one of the biggest altercations and changes to Major League Baseball by Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier. It's a huge deal, and I doubt. And let's remember, guys, Mrs. Robinson is not a young woman anymore. You know, she is up there in age, and there's not many opportunities for her to be a part of her situation and her husband's greatness, basically, and also the first man to break the color barrier in Major League Baseball. She don't have a lot more opportunities to see these ceremonies and getting standing ovations, because she deserves it, because she dealt with a lot of the stuff, the backlash that fans gave, as much as her husband did during that time. So I guarantee you it's been talked about in these meetings that we cannot miss games from April 15th on. I think it's not only, especially with all the last couple of years with the social injustice and all the protest and everything, they're trying to get equality among skin color, which is still amazing to me that it's still going around today. It would be a black eye to Major League Baseball if they happen to miss April 15th and not have people in the stands or a game during one of the most important dates on the calendar for Major League Baseball. So let's see what you guys are saying in the comments. See a few more people rolled up. Tigers fan, leave. Nick, Infinite. Who else we got here? MB, what's up? Steven, how you doing? Who else we got here? Let's see. All right, here we go. Gonna keep on looking at the comments, guys, starting from the top. Aiden, how am I doing? I'm doing okay. Mike, breaking news. We already talked about that, but thank you for putting that up there. Aiden says, do you think the first spring training game will start on March 18th? I think they're trying for that now, because if you do the math, March 18th to, I believe, April 15th, the first game of the regular season, that's nearly 4 weeks, and I think that's what is needed on both sides to get ready for the season. So I think that's very possible. I think if it don't get done this week, I think we're in trouble. Mike, yes, they better get it done this week. Steven, hey, what's up? Sean, what's up? Member of Talkin Mets and Rob. Let me just change that really quick. Give me 1 second, guys. I don't like the way. All right, there we go. I like it bigger like that. Makes everybody seem important, because you guys are. Do you think spring? Let's see. Lindor, how you doing? 14-team playoffs is stupid. I agree, but if it gets a deal done, let's get baseball back. I don't know if I'm the internal optimist, but I mean, I'm one of the more negative Met fans or baseball fans around. So the problem is the whole issue with this is that nobody thought that they were easily going to start talking again for a while. And knowing that they're actually talking about the issues that we were talking about, which was the CBT, which was the main problem with this whole negotiation, that the owners weren't budging, and it seems like they're going to budge now, at least a little bit on the CBT. And it's the only way for the owners to get the 14-team playoff they want, which kicks in more TV revenue money for the playoffs. So that's why the owners want that. And the players know that. That's why it's a big bargaining chip to get what the players want, which is a little bit more in the CBT, which again, I think it's $230 million to at least show the players that they're willing to go a little bit more to get this deal done. So Braden, April 15th, I agree. The Jackie Robinson Day, I'm telling you, it's a huge deal for Major League Baseball. It's a huge ceremony throughout baseball. Everybody wears number 42. And why the hell not? Why not on opening day? Now, remember, it is a little different. Having the opening ceremonies for opening day, everybody number 42. But I think that's iconic. I think that would be front page of the newspaper. It would be one of the first news stories on any sports talk radio, on sports TV, ESPN, everywhere. It would be a big deal. Not only it talks about the game of baseball, but it talks about the Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier, which is a huge sticking point for a lot of people in this country. And it's a huge deal. And baseball, they cannot lose that notoriety of their game right now, because it's hurting right now, and they need something like that. And April 15th would be a perfect opportunity to have all the eyes on baseball. And it's for two good reasons. Baseball is a great game, and Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier. Those two go together like peanut butter and jelly. It's just that simple, guys. And baseball can have a big marketing push just for that, having that day as opening day would be perfect. Sean, hashtag in the lockout 100%. Yeah, Lindor, I don't think it's the key. It's on the owner's side, yes. But again, the players knew that their biggest bargaining chip was the 14-team playoff. My biggest problem when it came to the players was the fact that they could have counter offered the last and final offer from the owners. And that's why I think a lot of people got pissed off at the players' side, because they could have counter offered if it wasn't the same day, the day after. And obviously the owners would have looked at it. If the players were like, all right, we're going to give you your 14-team playoffs. We want the CBT at 230. Fine. I think it could have been solved a lot easier, but their egos are too big for their own selves, and it just messes up the negotiation. Like I said, I don't think there's a lot of people. If there might be a very small percentage that like that idea of the 14-team playoff, and we will get to. I'm gonna talk about the 14-team playoff and the format, which I don't like more than the 14-team playoff. If the 14-team playoff was just every division winner getting a bye, and then you have the wild card teams facing each other, okay. But it's kind of hard to do that because one division winner is going to get two byes. It's just crazy. But I'm going to talk about that right now, right after I get through all the comments. Yeah, 16-team playoff is a little harder. I mean, that's a little insane. There's a lot better hockey teams. When you get lower down into the league, into each conference, like the seventh place team usually has a pretty darn good record, and in baseball, I'm telling you, we're gonna see probably 2 or 3 at 500 or below 500 teams that are gonna make the playoffs. And you know what? That's one team, if they got hot at the right moment at the end of the season, and slip into the playoff as a 6 seed or a 7 seed, they get hot. They can beat anybody. And we've seen that over the last couple of years. Let's see what else we got. Top negotiator. All right, we got all that. Well, there's a reason why Scott Boras is in the meetings. He represents a lot of the biggest players and biggest names in the game. So, MB, no, that is from the owners that they gave the last day in Florida. I was just bringing up the point that if you swap the CBT that was 220 from the owners to 230 and add the 14-team playoff, that's probably the offer that the players are going to give them among the other things that you saw in that deal. So if the owners were willing to give that deal with the 12-team playoff and the 220 CBT, if you give the owners the 14-team playoff, there's wiggle room for the CBT probably going up to 230 among the other stuff that's in there. The 5-team draft lottery, the $30 million arbitration pool, the minimum salary of $700,000, and $10,000 increase each of the next 5 years. I think that will get it done. So there shouldn't be a lot to talk about, considering that the two bigger sticking points was the CBT with the players and the 14-team playoff with the owners. I hope that Major League Baseball soon, because I am still upset. I will be happy when they start baseball season on late April or early May. I think it's going to be in the middle of May. Like I said, I do not think Major League Baseball wants to miss April 15th because it's not a random, even though every year is an amazing feat considering how many years it's been since Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. It's the 75th anniversary. And like I said earlier, Mrs. Robinson is up there in age. Who knows how many more years she has to enjoy those ceremonies and those moments when she gets the standing ovation. And most of the time she speaks at Citi Field or at the time at Shea Stadium because the only National League team in New York, it's a big part of that. I mean, basically, the Wilpons built basically Ebbets Field. That's why Citi Field looked like that. It's a replica of Ebbets Field. So, to see Mrs. Robinson at Citi Field, hopefully speaking again during that date is a huge deal. And it's going to be a big black eye for Major League Baseball, amongst other things. But you know what? It'll put a little bit of good faith within the players and the owner side to get baseball at least started, if not before that date, on that date. Now, we already missed the first two series of the year. We know that. That ranges from around April 5th, April 6th. So there's a whole week there where Major League Baseball, the season can start. It would be nice if they start on the 15th, but I think they could start a little bit before. But remember, we're going right into the schedule that we've seen already. And if you look at the schedule, give me 1 second. When you look at the schedule and what series is it, they're going to try to start the series on time. Like if it's the first game against the Marlins, starting the series, they're going to do something like that. They're not going to start when it's the middle of a series because it just doesn't make sense. But we'll look at it right now. So I can give you similar to an exact date. All right. So the first two series of the year with the Mets is Washington and Atlanta. It's 5 games. And April 15th was supposed to be, let's see. So the 15th was supposed to be a Friday at Citi Field against the Arizona Diamondbacks. I still think that they can get that Philadelphia series in on Monday, the 13th. I'm sorry, 13th. Yes, I'm sorry, hold on. Not the 13th. Let's see. Give me a second. I just want to make sure I got it right before I say anything. Okay, so it would be April 11th. That is at Philadelphia, 3-game series against the Phillies. If they start there, it's the beginning of the week. It's the middle of April, which is perfect. So you'll lose another series, which is a 4-game series against Washington. So we'll start the season again like we did in 2021 in Philadelphia. So that's what I think. And obviously, April 15th, is the Friday Jackie Robinson Day 75th anniversary, and we'll be at home against the Arizona Diamondbacks. So that's what I think is going to happen. Sometime between the 11th and Jackie Robinson Day on the 15th, I think is perfect. Yeah, well, like I said, we already know the teams that already did it, right? It was the Reds, the Diamondbacks, the Angels, and there was another team that said no to that deal. And three of those owners, three out of the four, was the same owners that voted no for Steve Cohen to owning the Mets. So, are you shocked? Yeah, exactly, Steve. And that's the problem. Like, that was the reason why three owners voted no for Steve Cohen because, and what's shocking, the only big market team that was in that four owners that said no was the Angels because Artie Moreno says that, like I said, he's one of the big owners that spend a lot of money, and he said he didn't want another owner that has the potential of spending a lot of money. One less owner that spends a lot of money gives him opportunities to get players he wants. So, I mean, we already seen it, right? They took Noah Syndergaard from us. They took Aaron Luke from us. But that was more of the fact that the Mets thought Syndergaard was going to take the qualifying offer, and the Angels gave him about $1.5 million more. The same thing with Aaron Luke. The Mets technically didn't want to go that high on Aaron Luke with a contract. The Angels did. Mets got Max Scherzer. The Mets got Marte. They got Cannon. They got Escobar. So that's the other thing. It's a lot of the small market teams that are causing the major issues, but they are the majority within the owners. There's only 5 or 6 teams that spend a ton of money that really are either bordering the luxury tax or over it. And the problem is the lower market teams, the small market teams don't spend enough money. And as much as the 14-team playoffs, the owners want because of TV money, it's less of an incentive for smaller market teams to spend more because they can probably be mediocre and still have a chance to make the playoffs. No problem, Infinite. It's all good. Yeah, well, I think the players are going to give the owners the 14-team playoffs. And the only way the players are going to do that and give that to them is if the CBT goes up. That's just tomorrow is going. I'm going to go live again tomorrow, guys. I'm not sure what time they're going to meet. It is Sunday, so they'll probably meet around midday. I haven't really seen times for it yet. But I'm expecting they'll probably meet during probably 11, 12 o'clock. So I'm going to do my best to come on around 2 o'clock like I normally was during the week of the meetings in Florida. So I will be going live tomorrow around 2 o'clock. So look out for that. So I'm assuming they're going to meet around midday. So the one thing I wanted to bring to your attention, and I think I wrote it, but I didn't. Hold on 1 second. I want to talk about this right here that's going to come across your screen. Rule changes. Now, this new CBA, whenever they decide to agree on it, is going to come with a couple of rule changes for the 2022 season. And a few of those rule changes is one, banning the shift that is really pissing off a lot of players because a lot of these guys are pull happy. And how many times you seen a line drive, a guy hits the ball right in the head, line drive, and there's the third baseman or the second baseman in mid right field, and they make an easy play and it's an out. When 100 times out of 100 in years past, it was a base hit. The same thing goes when a defensive player is up the middle. You watching it on TV, the guy hits a rocket up the middle. 9 out of 10 times, it's usually a base hit, and you have to wait for the camera to pan out, and you see the guy right there right behind second base and makes an easy play. I don't care. I think more players should adjust. I think baseball in any sport is based on adjustments. And if you don't adjust, you lose your job. You usually get sent out and the next player's in. That's the way it always used to be. If you couldn't hit a fastball, you probably weren't going to make it in the major leagues. You couldn't hit a curveball, you probably weren't going to stay in the major leagues. The same thing when in regards to 15, 20 years ago. If you were a high strikeout guy, you probably weren't getting to the major leagues. Nowadays, strikeouts are normal. If you struck out 150 times, nobody cares. If you bat 250, nobody cares. And the same thing when it comes to adjusting to the shift. If you're a left-handed hitter and you have the whole third base side open, go the other way. I just, I understand that it's hard to do that, but if you don't adjust, there's going to be a player who can adjust that can take your position. That's the biggest thing that I don't like, is that we're making the players, we're basically force feeding and basically giving baby food. We're giving food in a straw. Basically, we're mixing it in a blender and making it easier to go down when you eat it. That's how it basically is. So, oh wait, these players can't do that. Oh, let's give them what they want and ban the shift because they can't do that. They don't want to do that, and that's the problem. So that is another one of the stick that is going to probably be changed. I'm assuming you're going to have at least two guys on each side of the second base. And I think the infielders are not going to be allowed to have 2 feet in the outfield or touching the grass. I think either 1 or 2 feet are going to be having to be touch the infield, and at least 2 infielders have to be on the left or right side of second base before the pitch. Yeah, Ken, both sides do hate each other, but clearly they both know what each other wants. And clearly the players want a higher CBT, and clearly the owners want the 14-team playoffs. They both know what each other wants. And those are the two big things. That's why they're speaking primarily about the CBT, because I have a pretty good feeling that if the owners bump up the CBT from what they had it at 220 to 230, I think the players are going to be more willing to sign this deal, because in every other part of that proposal, everything has gone up for the players. And the owners want the 14-team playoff. There was I believe it was Buster Only that talked about it on ESPN yesterday, that there's a huge financial difference from a 12-team playoff to a 14-team playoff with regards of the TV revenue that the owners can get if there's a 14-team playoff. It's significant. It's around $100 to $120 million more if the 14-team playoff was implemented in Major League Baseball in 2022. That is huge TV money. If it's 12 teams, they lose all. They don't even get that money. So that's a big sticking point for the owners, and the players know that. Nick, April 1st is impossible because the 2 first series of the year is canceled. So you have to look beyond that. Look at the third series of the year regarding the Mets is a 4-game series against the Nationals in Washington. I would be happy if that happens, because I'm supposed to travel to Washington for that series, but I doubt it's going to happen. I think it's more likely that Monday, the 11th of April, the Philly series in Philadelphia, which I'll probably travel to. It's only a 2.5 hour drive from me. So if April 11th starts the season, they not only save face and making sure they play games on April 15 on Jackie Robinson Day, but they start the season a little less than 2 weeks into April, which I think most fans will be okay with, because that'll be around 154 games, which is a little bit more bearable for most fans. It doesn't seem like a cheated season if you win the World Series, like the 60-game season of the pandemic. Hayden, how you doing? Yeah, Braden, I agree. I think that would be huge free advertisement for Major League Baseball, who really tried to destroy this game during these negotiations. I think it would be a huge deal. Everybody wearing 42 and, having the opening ceremonies for opening day, calling out the players' names. And, Howie Rose usually makes the ceremony and announcement for the opening day ceremony. So, hearing him say 42 for every player would be absolutely amazing. With Mrs. Robinson in attendance would be very nice. It just makes so much sense for Major League Baseball. Thank you, Mike. Mike, let's get Chris Bryant. Hell yeah. As soon as this agreement's signed, I think the Mets are going right after Chris Bryant and right after Yusei Kikuchi. I'm not sure about Rodon anymore, but I still think there's a possibility. But I still feel that the Mets are going to get Yusei Kikuchi. I think they're going to be very high on him to be the 4th or 5th starter. And that saves money for what the Mets really want to do. And that is get that big bat and get 2 or 3 big bullpen arms that will really solidify this whole roster that I think really makes the Mets one of the better teams in the league. At the current moment, they're third they have the 3rd best odds to win the World Series. 3rd or 4th best odds, depending on where you look. I looked the other day at FanDuel. I did put a little bit of shackles down on the Mets winning the World Series, a couple of $100. I think the odds were plus 1,100, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be a pretty good payday if the Mets do it. Again, I don't think the Mets are the best team in baseball, but again, you don't have to be the best team in baseball to win the World Series. We've seen that over the last couple of years. It's the same way when teams get into the NHL playoffs. If you make the playoffs, anybody can win as long as you're hot at the right time. Aiden, I don't know that. I mean, they don't practice together. The players don't practice in the team facilities. They're practicing on their own. There might be some players that work out together and practice together, but I don't think that they're practicing together at the moment. Well, yeah, the owners put pressure on the players. That's if you heard Rob Manfred a few days after, or the first time the owners gave a proposal to the owners around 43 days later, Rob Manfred said, "Hey, the telephones were open, right? The players side could have made an offer before the owners did." Within those 43 days, there was no rule that the owners had to make the first proposal. So the owners locked out the players to put some leverage, to put some pressure on the players to, get more of what the owners wanted in a deal. So that was the big reason why the lockout was December 2nd. And I blame both sides for not giving any proposal within those 43 days, because in the second week in January, that was when the first proposal was made by the owners. I blame both sides on that because both sides could have easily made a proposal at any moment when the lockout was put in place. So it's not like the players union could have not sent a proposal, and they could have emailed it to the owners, and it would have been fine. It's not like they blocked them from doing that. So both sides are to blame for that situation. Watermelon, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Yep, Leaf, absolutely. Jackie Robinson was a great player and also broke the color barrier. Stoney, do you think when they start talking tomorrow, they get a deal done? What do you think their chances? I don't think the deal is going to get done tomorrow. But I think it's going to be similar to the last 2 days of the Florida meetings. I think like last week or last Sunday, they went late into the night into Monday morning, where everybody thought they were very close to a deal and Monday was going to be the day. So I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw last Sunday. I think they're going to talk about the two main sticking points, which is the 14-team playoff and the CBT. They're going to talk about that all freaking day. And they're going to go probably late into the night again into Monday. And I feel like Monday, they're probably going to get it done either Monday or Tuesday, which gives enough time to get almost a full month of spring training and it can start the season April 11th through the 15th in between those days. I think they want to start the season where every team has a series that starts on that day. I think that's really important. And Monday is if some teams are off, and most teams start series. So I think that's what they really want. They want to start the season where they can start a series so they don't have to have starting, like the Philly series. They don't want to start on the 13th, which is the last game in the series. They would rather start when the series starts on Monday. And if you look at a lot of the major league schedules, the team schedules, which I did, some teams have off on April 11th. I think 6 or 7 teams on Monday, the April 11th. 6 teams are off. And the rest of the teams start series during that week. So I think that's probably makes a lot of sense. But it makes a lot more sense to start April the 15th because it's Friday starting into the weekend, which more eyes are going to be on the TV. Jackie Robinson Day, April 15th on the Friday. And most people most people go to the games on Friday and Saturday. So you're going to get a lot of attendance in a lot of ballparks. So it makes a lot of sense, guys. I wouldn't say that, Leaf. I think both sides are to blame when it comes to this. Look, I said, there's a lot of old time players that don't like the way the players play now. All these strikeouts, the average. 95% of baseball now is under a 300 average, which is a joke. So what can you do? It is what it is. Daily Mets coverage. How you doing, buddy? Andrew, how you doing? Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear from you guys too. Yes, Daily Mets. Yeah, I heard that they're. I don't believe that they're that interested. I think it's less than a 10% chance that the Mets get Freeman. The Mets have a lot more things that are more important than getting another first baseman on this team. Even though Freddie Freeman's a great player, I feel like the Mets need a big bat, which is not Freddie Freeman. They can go a lot of routes. They can get Suzuki. They can get Castellanos. They can get Chris Bryant. They can make a trade for J-Ram or Chapman, which I doubt. But there's other options out there that make a lot more sense than Freddie Freeman. Yes, Tony, I know you tuned in not too long ago when I said it. I am going to go live tomorrow since it's actually negotiations. They didn't really say a time yet of what time they're going to meet, but I feel like it's going to be similar to last Sunday in Florida when they started to meet around 10, 11 o'clock. So I'm probably going to go live right around 2 so we get more information by the time I go live. And I'll probably go live until 7 o'clock at night tomorrow or whenever we get the news that we need, right? So I am going live tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Ken, the reason why they're not making up these early series because the owners said they don't want to pay the players for missed games. And it's already a logistical nightmare to make up between 6 and 7 games during the year because there's interleague play every day. Some of these teams don't come back to that city at all for the rest of the year. So it's going to be hard for a 3-game series. Say if the Mets are playing the Detroit Tigers early on in the season, they don't come back to Citi Field the rest of the year. So to put 3 games, a 3-game series, and make them up, it's very hard because where are you going to make that during the season? Nobody has 2 straight days off. It's usually 1 day off, and in between that, teams are traveling. So it's going to be very hard to make up those games. And on top of that, the owners are not going to want to make up those games because they don't have to pay the players, which is another point that the players are probably going to make in these negotiations, which could be a disaster of not getting the deal done. The players are want to be getting paid for games lost. I don't think the owners want that. So that's the problem, Ken. Yeah, exactly, Daniel. It was the Angels, D-backs, Tigers, and Reds, and 3 of those 4 teams were the teams that voted no for Steve Cohen to be the owner of the Mets. those 4 teams that you see on your screen, the Angels, D-backs, Tigers, and Reds, all voted no on the last proposal that the owners gave. They didn't want that. And considering that those 4 teams didn't want that, I'm assuming these 4 teams or owners actually want to get a deal done soon, because these are the teams, the Diamondbacks, the Tigers, and the Reds are not huge market teams. Those are the teams that probably don't get great attendance in the month of April. The Angels kind of do, for the most part. They do have a better team this year. They're probably going to spend more money. So, again, as long as they get a deal done early this week, I think we're going to be okay. No, Mike, they don't have to make a new schedule. They're going to start wherever date that's why you don't hear a lot of dates. That's why Manfred said 2 series are going to be canceled. Two series are going to be canceled from the beginning of the season. They didn't give exact dates. So they're not making a new schedule. They're just going to start. They're going to pick a date, and whatever it says on your schedule, that's the team you're going to play. That's how they're going to do it. They're not going to do it like the pandemic year where they basically threw out the 2020 schedule and made up a schedule based on basically demographic, basically. Remember, we played everybody in the East, AL and NL. So, and that was the teams you focused on. Let's see. What else do we got with these comments? Any news on MLB baseball? Yes, that's what we were talking about, Nick. Hopefully you heard it. But they will be speaking tomorrow. They didn't give a time yet. I'm assuming we're gonna find out. I guess a reporter is gonna say what time they're gonna meet, or maybe we'll just have to guess and wait until the reporter says it in the morning when they're gonna meet. So they are meeting tomorrow. I am going live at 2 p.m. Regardless of if there's any news or not, I'm going live at 2 p.m. And I'm going to probably be with you until 7 o'clock. So it's going to be a long Monday for all of us. Sunday for all of us. My days are getting mixed up. It's going to be a long Sunday for all of us, which, as long as we get good news, I think we're all going to be happy with. Sorry about that, Stoney. No, God, no. Please never mistake me for Rob Manfred again. Andrew, I think the players were tuned to their own message instead of countering with giving a 14-team playoff. Andrew, I think the bigger issue was, obviously there was a small amount of players at the meetings in Florida. And I think when that final offer came from the owners, the players that were there and some of the players that they spoke to via Zoom were not happy with that final offer. But when I think Tony Clark and his lead negotiator spoke to more players when they got back to New York, they realized a lot of the players weren't that mad about the final proposal from the owners. And I think that's why you heard the players' side talk about being flexible on the 14-team playoff. And that's why you're hearing more about that. I think a lot of more players, because let's be honest, guys, if you look at that final offer, I'm going to put it up right now again. Let me find it. Where is it? Here we go. Once again, that final offer, if you look at it, the arbitration pool, the minimum salary, both of those things are huge for players that are just starting out in the league, have 1 year or 2 year service time. And if you have 2.5 year service time, you're arbitration eligible, which you are part of with that pre-arb pool. And the minimum salary starts you at $700,000. That's $125,000 more than the current minimum salary. So a lot of these players are like, hey, if you care about the players that are making nothing or, the minimum, you have to look at it and say, guys, that's $125,000 more than what I was making. And you get increases you get the increase every year. So I think a lot of the players started to speak up and say, hey, this offer is not as bad as you think. We have to start these negotiations again, or they're going to start, because the longer you wait, the more it's going to lean towards the owner's side when it comes to the numbers they want. And the players know that. Remember, the owners already said they're willing to miss a month. It's not financially applicable for the owners to open up the stadium in April. They lose money in April because the attendance is crap in April in most areas. So the players know that. The players are going to lose a lot more than the owners if they lose the whole month of April. Let's go back to the comments. I don't know what Noah wanted. I think Noah wanted the biggest amount of money he can get, and the Angels gave it to him. So that's basically it. I don't know what Noah wanted. I don't know if he wanted to be here. It seemed like he liked New York. He lived in the city. Obviously LA's you get beautiful weather out there, but they did give him $1.5 million more without the Mets even knowing that Noah Syndergaard got another offer. He just took the Angels deal. Remember that. Steve Cohen talked about it. That's why he was so pissed off. He was pissed off at the Steven Matz situation, and he was pissed off at the Syndergaard situation because Noah Syndergaard's agent never talked or said anything to the Mets. The Mets probably would have counted with that offer. It's only $1.5 million more. Steve Cohen would have done that. Clearly, the Mets wanted Noah Syndergaard back by offering him that $19 million qualifying offer. But once again, Noah Syndergaard and his agent never went back to the Mets to get a counteroffer. He just took the Angels deal. Now, remember, we don't know what the Angels told Syndergaard. The Angels might have said, listen, this is the offer. Take it now or we're taking it off the table. That could have been an option as well. We don't know that. Brian, absolutely. Let's go Mets. I hope we're going to be number one. That would be nice. Timothy, I don't think the Mets are going to go after Freeman. I think that's a pipe dream for a lot of people. Well, they can't get Soto after the lockout because the Nationals are not trading Juan Soto yet. They still got 3 years on 2 years on the deal. They're not trading him as of yet. I do think the Mets are going to be heavy favorites to get Juan Soto when he becomes a free agent because he already declined the offer from the Nationals, the $350 million deal. And I think Juan Soto wants to become a free agent. So I wouldn't be surprised in the last year of Soto's contract, the Nationals, unless the Nationals are good, they're probably going to trade him his last year of his contract to get something for him because he is probably going to free agency and probably leaving the Nationals. And I think the Mets will be the favorite to sign Juan Soto. Well, Aiden, the Yankees don't have to trade for Freeman. They can sign Freeman. Freeman's a free agent. So, yeah, I think the Yankees will be involved. They need a first baseman. Rocky, how you doing, buddy? Leaf, how long have I been a Mets fan? Unfortunately, all my life. As long as I can remember. I started to really get into, I was playing baseball at like 3 or 4 years old. One of these days I'm gonna get my dad on a live stream. So my dad can tell you the story, but I'll tell you a brief story about it. When I was like 2 years old, my dad said, them yellow wiffle ball bats? Well, my dad had that with the little plastic ball with the little holes in them. We were in the kitchen. My dad said my mom was making a pot of sauce. We were in the kitchen. He was throwing baseballs to me, the wiffle ball to me. And he said I picked up the bat. I batted like I was batting left-handed, so he never changed me, and that's what I batted ever since. I picked up the bat left-handed. He threw the ball to me. I swung. I hit the ball. I hit the ball past my dad. I hit the wall, and the ball went into the pot. Again, I was only 2 years old. I don't know this. But according to my dad, that's what happened. And he said ever since then, he never changed my batting. Never forced me to bat right-handed. He kept me left-handed. And from what I remember, around 5 or 6 years old is the first time I remember watching the Mets. So from that time, I'm 34 years old now. So 30 years I've been a Met fan. I really starting to know the intricacies, every detail of the game, like around 9, 10 years old, knowing the rules, knowing the little details within the game, the balks, stolen bases, how to do the scorecards, stuff like that. I started to understand the game around 9, 10 years old. So Met fan from 5 years old and really getting into everything about baseball around 10 years old. So around 25, 30 years. Stony, when do you have baseball again? Are they taking the guy on second off in extra innings? I think they are. I think they are. I don't think that's going to be a part of the game. Now, I'm against it starting it from the first inning of extra innings. I do think if it does still be a rule, I think it's going to be from the 12th inning on. I think the first two extra innings, the 10th and the 11th, it's probably just going to be like no ghost runner. It's going to be regular baseball. And then after the 12th inning, to speed up the game a little bit, they'll probably put the runner on second. But we haven't heard about that. But I think it's going to be gone. Yeah, but that was 2021, though. And a lot of the cancellations were in the beginning of the season, which a lot of the games in the beginning of the season were division games, which is easier to make up. But you got to remember, the owners don't want 7 inning doubleheaders again. So that's why there's two reasons, Ken. The owners don't want to play the players for missed games, and the owners don't want 7 inning doubleheaders. They don't want that because financially it doesn't work for them. Because the 7 inning doubleheaders is a single admission. And the owners don't want that. They don't want 2 games for 1 ticket sold. They don't want that. So you're not going to see makeup games. Oh, yeah, Kenny. It killed the Mets. The Mets had, I think, 7 doubleheaders. Or, I'm sorry, like 4, almost 7 doubleheaders. A lot of makeup games they had. And it did hurt the Mets. They had to use a lot of pitching. There was a lot of times they were using openers because they didn't have no pitchers because they played so many games. And that's another reason, Ken, why it's not going to happen. There's not a lot of off days for the Mets or a lot of teams to make up these games. Let's see what else. I know Sunday was now ops. Yep, Daniel, absolutely. There's going to be a crazy amount of free agency rumors, trades, free agent signings all over the place. I mean, it's going to constantly be videos. It's probably going to be a lot more live streams because it's easier to go live for breaking news than making a video and editing it. So you're probably going to see a lot of live streams when the lockout ends, based on a lot of the rumors. Daniel, I do think there's been teams speaking to agents regarding what's going to go on. There's a little bit of under the table talk for sure, because it's going to be hard for teams to just not speak to the agents at all, and as soon as the lockout ends, all of a sudden start giving offers. You're going to see offers right off the bat, in my opinion, from teams, because I think they have been speaking. Yeah, Ken, I hate that rule as well. That's funny. uh, do you mean the All-Star game? Yeah, I think the All-Star game's at Dodger Stadium this year. I didn't mind the shift. I think it's outrageous. It goes extreme sometimes, but I always felt like as a hitter, you always had to adjust to the defense. And look, they're probably going to ban the shift, but let's be honest. The guy who still bats 250 is still going to bat 250. He might bat 255, not 250, but that's what the shift's going to do. You might get a couple of more base hits here and there, but it's not going to be, the batters are still going to strike out 150 to 200 times, most of them. So it's not going to change that. Uh, I feel like the Yankees are going to sign him, But I think Aaron Judge is going to hit free agency. I think he's going to want to get competition for him. I don't think he's going to sign a deal extension with the Yankees. I think he's going to go to free agency, but I still think the Yankees are not stupid enough to lose Aaron Judge. Yeah, Daniel. Soto's going to be the first $500 million a year player, for sure. Nelson, what's up, buddy? New Q's, what's up? How you doing? I don't think the Yankees are going after Carlos Correa. I do think they're going to go after Freddie Freeman, for sure. Absolutely. They need a first baseman, and I don't think the Yankees are going to trade for Matt Olson because that's going to they have to give up a lot of prospects. Carlos Correa is out of the question. I think you're probably going to see Andrelton Simmons at shortstop. I think the Yankees are going to go hard after Freddie Freeman because, I don't know if anybody's paying attention to the Yankees rotation, but their rotation is garbage. Besides Cole, there's nobody in our. You could say Severino, but Severino still hasn't pitched a full season as of yet, so there's no guarantee he's going to be healthy. If Severino's healthy, I think he's going to be fine. I don't think he's going to be a dominant pitcher, but he's going to be pretty darn good. But from the 3 starter to the 5th starter, who is your rotation? I mean, yeah, Clark Schmidt, who showed glimpses, but he's not great. They don't have nobody. The Yankees need pitching. So I think Freeman is more likely than Carlos Correa. I don't think Carlos Correa is going to be a Yankee. Yeah, but again, Ken, the owners are willing to miss games in April. They already said they're willing to miss the entire month of April. But, you got to remember, it's not a full gate. It's not. Because if you noticed, in 2021, the average attendance for Citi Field, I was at a lot of those 7-inning doubleheaders. There wasn't a lot of people there because you have to start the 7-inning doubleheaders around 1, 2 o'clock to start the next game around 5, 6 o'clock. A lot of the people don't show up for the first game. And a lot of people don't want to go travel 2 hours to get to Citi Field after work to watch a 7-inning game to get to the second game. If it was a doubleheader, a regular doubleheader, people would show up because it's a 9-inning game. People are not going to travel from work 2 hours to hopefully make the beginning of the second game just to have a 7-inning game. People are not traveling to do that. And the price of the game is still full price. So that's the reason why. And the owners don't want to play the players. So it's not happening, Ken. As much as you want it to happen, you're not going to make up those games. Didi Gregorius is possible, but I think the Yankees are looking more at Andrelton Simmons. He's a really good defensive shortstop. And I think Didi Gregorius just lost it. I don't think he has it anymore. He's up there in age. I don't think so anymore. Merlin Full, what's up? Steven, they are keeping replay. That's not going anywhere, unfortunately. Going after Soto, absolutely, man. Nestor Cortez, another one. I didn't even think about him. But again, the Yankees still need pitching. They can't count on Severino. He's been hurt for 3 years now? I don't think it's smart to count on Severino at this point. Cortez, you got to remember, he pitched well, but can he adjust from because the batters are going to see him more often than they did. Remember, that was 2020 into 2021. A lot of teams haven't seen him. And, we always see it with a lot of pitchers. The batters start to adjust to the pitcher because they've seen him more often. It's up to Cortez to adjust to the batters' adjustments. If he can do that, I think he's going to be pretty well. Yeah, they'll make up the rain delays because that's just, that's part of a regular season that, that's normal. They'll make up the rainy days because they'll put it on a day where it's an off day, or they'll put it, if it's a team that you face often, they'll make it a doubleheader. But that's something that was normal within a regular season. Merlin Full, the only updates that we have is that they're going to be speaking tomorrow. There will be a meeting tomorrow regarding the CBT and the 14-team playoff. So we're getting some negotiations going now. So that's good to know. That's what we like. We want that. So, and I will be going live tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So I'm assuming they're probably going to meet around midday, and similar to what they did on Sunday last week in Florida. So I will be live at 2 o'clock, going over whatever news that we hear, or any good updates or bad updates that we hear about the negotiations. Daniel, who do I see the Mets signing? I see the Mets signing Chris Bryant and Yusei Kikuchi as the big names for the rotation and the lineup. The bullpen, I see the Mets going after Andrew Chafin, Ryan Tepera, and I think they're going to sign Jeurys Familia to a 1-year deal. So I think 5 players you can probably see. Chris Bryant, Yusei Kikuchi, Andrew Chafin, Ryan Tepera, and Jeurys Familia. I don't think they're going to put Clay Holmes. I know he's a starter, but I don't think they're going to put him up in the rotation right away. Loizaga is one of their best bullpen arms. They're not going to make him a starter. He's one of those 7th, 8th inning guys that lead to Chapman. So Loizaga is not going to go to the rotation. That's just going to hurt your bullpen. Yep. Yeah, I was going to look at the votes just now, actually. Let's see. The poll that I put up earlier today for the stream. Sorry, let me just look at it really quick, guys. Give me a second. I don't see it up on my screen. I have to look on my phone with it. So just give me a second. Let's see. Where the hell's the poll? Alrighty. I don't see the poll anywhere. So yes. So if you can see the poll, that would be nice. So a lot of people think it's going to start in April. So that's good. I like that. That's good to see. Just give me a second, guys. I just want to see something. So, according to Stony, I can't see the poll for some reason. I'm not sure why, but what can you do, right? Let's keep on going with the flow. Alrighty. So, according to Stony, the poll has a lot of people thinking baseball is going to start in April. That's great. Luis Castillo, earlier in the offseason, I felt like the Mets were going to make a big trade for like a Luis Castillo or a Sean Manaea or a Bassett, something like that in Oakland, or possibly Shane Bieber. I don't think the Mets are going to go, I think if they wanted a big name arm, they would have went after Carlos Rodon, which I still think is an option. But all the rumors about Yusei Kikuchi to the Mets, I think the Mets are willing to get back into the rotation arm so they can spend more money and focus on the lineup and the bullpen more. Which I agree with, honestly. I don't think Luis Castillo is an option anymore unless the Mets lose out on Carlos Rodon and Yusei Kikuchi in free agency. Then they would have to go the trader out. But I think that's a 3rd or 4th option at this point with Luis Castillo. Yeah, I don't think the Yankees are going to do that, Nucleus. I don't think so. I do think it's possible that Carlos Rodon is an option for the Yankees. I don't know if the Yankees are going to go to the 3 to 4 years that Rodon wants, but it's an option for sure. Jordan Montgomery, he's a back end of the rotation guy who's pretty good but has his lapses. Luis Gil is a possibility. We've seen him a little bit. He's pretty good. But I don't see the Yankees. I never see the Yankees counting on top prospects in their system with the rotation, but I think they're going to have to, because if you notice with Hal Steinbrenner, he's not going to spend a lot of money. Even if the CBT goes to 230, the Yankees only have about $12 to $13 million to work with still. Almost about $15 million to work with. That's not a lot of wiggle room. And I don't think the Yankees are going over the luxury tax. So, but that's not a bad rotation. It's not great because you're counting on Luis Severino, who hasn't been healthy for 3 years. Jordan Montgomery, he had Tommy John. He came back. He's been okay. Luis Gil, we've seen flashes from him, but we don't know what he's going to be like when batters see him on an everyday basis. And Carlos Rodon, if he stays healthy, he's one of the better pitchers in baseball. It's still an option that the Mets can help out that bench with VR, but I do think somebody's going to give Jonathan VR a starting role and a multi-year deal, and I don't think the Mets are willing to do that. Victor, how you doing? Hopefully the next couple of days, Victor. Let's hope. I don't know if Chapman's going to pitch well. I think Chapman had a huge problem without the spider tech, that sticky stuff. Ever since that rule went into place, he's been lost. His control has been bad. So I don't know. He's been getting worse every year, and every year he's getting older too. He needs that velocity. He needs that control. I don't think he's gonna be that good. He's gonna be okay. He's gonna be average, in my opinion. Yeah, sorry, son. I can't see the poll for some reason. It won't let me see it. I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, I'm looking for it, and I'm like, where the hell's the poll? And I don't see it. But I'm going to try on the web browser on YouTube to see if I can see it. Because the app don't let me see it, which is stupid. But, I'm going to try to see it. Maybe I'll get lucky. Let's see. Let me see if I can see the poll this time. If I can go on the web browser. Let's see. I'm just checking to see if we can actually... I can't even see the chat. That's hilarious to me. But let's see. Yeah, I can't see anything. That's hilarious. Yeah, I can't even see the chat in this. It's insane. Oh, well. Well, you guys can see the poll, and that's what matters. I don't think the Yankees are going to go that route again. Nathan Eovaldi screwed the Yankees when they first got him. I don't think he's going to go that route again. I think, like Nuku said, maybe Rodon. They're probably going to go after Yusei Kikuchi as well. But the Yankees do need another pitcher. They do need another arm. I do think if the Mets lose out on Chris Bryant, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get Michael Conforto on a 1-year deal. But I don't know if Conforto is willing to take a 1-year deal. Tyler McGill was pretty darn good last year. For a guy who nobody heard of, came up, pitched well. He had one of his best pitching outings was against the Yankees last year. I would not be mad if Tyler McGill's our 5th starter. I would not be mad. But, if you get Yusei Kikuchi, there's no room for Tyler McGill. He's probably going to be the long man in the bullpen and make a spot start here and there. Because if you get Yusei Kikuchi or Carlos Rodon for that matter, look at your rotation. You got DeGrom, Scherzer, Walker, Carrasco, and Rodon or Kikuchi. So Tyler McGill, and if you have to remember, David Peterson as well. That's depth that the Mets need. So I think Tyler McGill can be a perfect long man for a pitcher who hasn't really, pitched well that day, who's struggling through 2 or 3 innings. Showalter takes out the pitcher, puts in Tyler McGill in the 5th inning. He can give you 3 or 4 innings. So I think that's a better spot for Tyler McGill, even though I will not be mad if the Mets have Tyler McGill as a 5th starter. But I think they're going to go get another starting pitcher, either Kikuchi or Rodon. I don't think the Yankees, again, excuse me. I don't think the Yankees are going to go over the salary cap. And if they trade for Manny Machado, they're bringing $25 million over And I don't see the Yankees spending $25 million on a player in free agency. So they're probably not going to trade for a guy who's making $20+ million. That's why they're not going after Correa. I doubt they're going after Trevor Story. That's why you hear rumors about the Yankees getting Andrelton Simmons as their shortstop as a stopgap for one of their two prospects shortstops. So, I don't think the Yankees are going to spend on the shortstop. That's why when Yankees calls Correa, it doesn't make sense because the Yankees are looking at one of their two top prospect shortstops as being a big part of the Yankees in 2023. So signing Trevor Story, unless it's a 1-year deal Trevor Story is going to take, I don't see the Yankees going after any big-time shortstop. Andrelton Simmons, in that case, makes the most sense when you look at what the Yankees have been talking about. I could see the Yankees going after Freddie Freeman more than I could see them going after a big-time shortstop. Yeah, but you know what? You can't even expect the health of Zach Britton anymore either. He had an injury-plagued season last year. I do think Britton is better than Chapman in a closer role, but he's hurt. And we can't trust at least Chapman has been healthy for the most part. If you need him to close, he's out there. But again, you can't count on Britton. And that, Britton is better than Chapman. But again, you can't count on Britton, which sucks, unfortunately, for the Yankees. Well, we'll see. Phillies or the Marlins, it's a possibility. I think sometime this week they're going to be back, Victor. Yeah, but you know what? At this point, Escobar is the starter. He's not a bench player. At the moment, he's out third baseman. Again, I think the Mets are specifically targeting Chris Bryant to put him at third base, moving Escobar to second, and putting McNeil in a trade to bring back a big arm reliever or something else. So I think that's why. And, a lot of people, you got to remember, guys, the Mets have two prospects that are ready to come up, if not the second half of this year, next year. Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty. One of those guys is going to be at third baseman, most likely Brett Beatty. So because Chris Bryant is so versatile, if Beatty's ready, Chris Bryant can move to the outfield with no problem. Chris Bryant can go to left field and play every day. Connor can be on the bench, and you're ready to go. That's why people who are talking about trading for Matt Chapman, trading for Jose Ramirez makes absolutely no sense. You not only have to give away prospects and everyday players, I'll give you a deal. For Matt Chapman or J Ram, you're probably going to have to give Ronnie Mauricio. You're probably going to have to give a Jeff McNeil. You're probably going to have to give another top 15 prospect or a Dominic Smith. You're giving up all that for a guy in Chapman or Jose Ramirez who can't play any other position in third base very well. And now you block Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos from coming up. Doesn't make sense on the Mets part. That's why Chris Bryant makes the most sense, because at least this year, Chris Bryant can play third base. Escobar can move over to second. If Brett Beatty's ready by the second half of this year or next year, Chris Bryant can easily go into the outfield with no questions asked. We can play there. And there's a perfect spot for Brett Beatty to play third base. I don't think they're going to go back and get Ottavino. He was terrible with the Yankees. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, the connection is not great today. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Some days it's good. Some days it's bad. If Aaron Hicks stays healthy, he'll be okay. He's not going to be great, but I don't expect him to stay healthy because he hasn't been. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I trust him more than Peterson, but, a lot of people forget Peterson was one of our best starters during the pandemic year. He was hurt last year. If he wasn't hurt, who knows? He might have progressed and been better. But at this moment, McGill, I think, is better than Peterson, for sure. Merlefield, I don't think so. I think if they do lose out on Rodon and Kikuchi, that's when they would have to go to trade route. I think that the trade option for a pitcher is the third best option. Rodon and Kikuchi are 1-2. They're not going to trade Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres is going to be their second baseman. Their shortstop is going to be somebody they sign. They're in more on Bryant than they are Freeman. I just can't believe the Mets are in on Freeman as much as people say they are. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It really doesn't. Yes, you would want a great player in Freeman on the Mets, but it just doesn't make sense logistically. Yeah, you can put Freeman at first, DH Alonso, but then you're hurting Alonso because Alonso hates being a DH. So it kind of well, Daniel, when it comes to Beatty and Alvarez, I do think Beatty can be ready by the second half of this year. And Alvarez talked about being ready this year. I doubt it. But I do see both Beatty and Alvarez being up next year in 2023. Yeah, Aiden, that's probably not going to happen. The Red Sox are not trading them to the Yankees. And Guerrero Jr. is not getting traded in division. It's just not happening. Merleful, if McNeil on its own, I think it's more a reliever, like a Taylor Rogers in Minnesota. I think that's a fair trade. Because at this moment, I feel like McNeil is useless on this Mets team. So you might as well get him. There's a lot of teams that's been asking for McNeil. Like I said, I think McNeil is out of here. As soon as the lockout's over, I think McNeil's gone. So I'm thinking more like Taylor Rogers. I think you can get a nice bullpen arm for McNeil. Just McNeil up front with nothing else in the package. I think you can get like a Taylor Rogers, which will be great for the Mets, getting that lefty reliever in the bullpen. They're not trading Robinson Cano. Doesn't make sense. Nobody's going to take that deal, that contract. Yes, Chris. Timothy, yes. If the Mets sign Chris Bryant's playing third base this year. Escobar's going to second. That's why you trade McNeil. It makes sense. I would hold on to Dom. Oh, I lost. I would hold on to Dom, Stoney. I would hold on to him. I think it makes more sense to hold on to Dominic Smith than it is Jeff McNeil. Dominic Smith can be a very good first baseman when you want to give Alonso a day off or two and put him at the DH spot. Dominic Smith can play a very good first base and you have his bat in the lineup. It makes a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense for Jeff McNeil to stick around, especially if you get Chris Bryant. And again, I think JD Davis, a lot of people are not talking about JD Davis. JD Davis was one of our best hitters in 2019, and he probably would have been our best hitter in 2021 if he didn't get hurt. Sneaky guy, stats-wise, I think is going to have a very good year offensively, JD Davis. I think Buck Showalter is going to make JD Davis the everyday DH. JD Davis can bat 280. He can hit 20-plus home runs and knock in 70 RBIs if he's healthy. I guarantee that. He did that in 2019. Look at his stats. I think the Mets, when spring training starts, I think Robinson Cano is going to get the opportunity to DH every day. If he doesn't perform well, I think JD Davis is going to be your everyday DH. Oh, absolutely. Jonathan Loáisiga is one of the best bullpen arms in the league, for sure. 100%. I don't think Freddie Freeman is going for a one-year deal. Nukius, I don't think so. This is going to be his last big contract. He's going to get a 6 or 7 year deal, guaranteed. Trevor Story, on the other hand, I can see Trevor Story taking a 1 year deal. That's the only way I think the Yankees are going to get a big-time name at shortstop, is if Trevor Story takes a 1 year deal. Carlos Correa is not going to take a 1 year deal. Trevor Story, I can see him because there's not a lot of competition for Trevor Story. I think if the Yankees can get him on a 1-year, $25 million deal, I could see Trevor Story going to the Yankees in that 1-year deal. To show me type of deal, because Trevor Story's young enough where he can come out next year in 2023 being the only big shortstop on the market. Going to be a lot more competition for him, which he'll get a big deal then. I can see that. I don't see Beatty. I think they're going to start Beatty in the minors in AA, possibly AAA for the first half. If Beatty performs excellent, you can possibly see Beatty being up on the second half, maybe. But I think the Mets want to play Beatty every day. It's going to be hard for him to play every day on this Mets team. Yeah, nobody's getting a Rosarena or Wander Franco. The Rays just signed him to a 12-year deal, and Rosarena is one of the best young guys in the game. The Rays ain't getting rid of those guys. Alonso is the first baseman. Yes, I agree 100%. But, the scenario of the Mets getting Freeman, you're not putting Freddie Freeman anywhere else than first base. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Mets are set on Alonso as their first baseman, and I don't think they should switch. They should falter otherwise. I think Alonso should be our first baseman, no doubt about it. But the scenario, which I don't see the Mets getting Freeman, they're going to put Freeman at first base if the Mets are willing to do that. I don't see the Mets going after Freeman. I don't think it makes sense. But if they do, Freeman's playing first base. La Potencia, what's up? They're not signing Freeman, La Potencia. I don't think so. Well, yeah, that both scenarios, yes, absolutely. I'm not sure. Manaya, I'm thinking you're talking about. McNeil plus top 10 prospect. I'm assuming you're talking about Luis Castillo. Yeah, it's gonna take McNeil and a top 10 prospect, probably Mauricio, and maybe another top 20 prospect. Hashtag Robbie Cano. No, because the Yankees are not going to trade Gary Torres. The Red Sox are not trading Devers, who are the best player on the team, and Guerrero Jr. is not going anywhere. It's just that's not happening. Yes, exactly, Ken. There's a few reasons why McNeil are down on McNeil. There's 3 reasons. Number 1, his production went down dramatically because he decided to think he's a home run hitter and doesn't care about his average anymore. McNeil was averaging 320. He batted 260. That's not what we need from McNeil. Number 2, McNeil's attitude. Every time he doesn't get a base hit, he acts like he's going to punch somebody in the face. That attitude wears thin very quickly within the clubhouse. And number 3, his problems with Lindor are not over. I'm telling you, them two don't like each other. I do not want to start the season with McNeil and Lindor up the middle. I don't need any toxic situations in this clubhouse. The team does not need it. It destroyed this team last year. There was so much toxic attitudes and emotions that led to the demise of this team, along with the Jacob deGrom injury. Because I think the Mets could have made the playoffs, at least as a wild card team, without Jacob deGrom, if this team was on the same page. This team was never on the same page. This team did not like each other at all. You had the toxic attitude of Stroman. You had the toxic attitude of Javi Baez. You had the toxic attitude of Jeff McNeil and Lindor saga. It was too much. We don't need none of that. And if you notice what the Mets are doing, they're getting high character guys who don't start any trouble. Starlin Marte, besides the steroid issue, which he came back from and has been one of the guys who's been a very good clubhouse guy, veteran. Escobar, a great clubhouse guy, a veteran. Kana, a veteran, good clubhouse guy. Max Scherzer, a hard-nosed veteran guy who's a team player, good clubhouse guy. You see what the Mets are doing. There's a reason why they didn't sign Javi Baez. There's a reason why they didn't sign Marcus Stroman. They want a better environment. All you're doing with that toxic environment is hurting the younger players. The Alonsos, the Dom Smiths, the Nimos. You're hurting those players. The Mets don't want that. So getting back to what this stream is about, guys, with the MLB lockout. We're going to go over that one more time. The MLB PA and the owners are meeting tomorrow in New York on Sunday, probably around midday. And I will be going live at 2 p.m. to bring you all the latest news like I did while they were in Florida for those 9-10 days. They will be meeting tomorrow. The main focus is the competitive balance tax and the 12-team, 14-team playoff. Big keys to this negotiation that we will see tomorrow. So I will be going live at 2 p.m. tomorrow, giving you the latest news like I did over the last week when they were in Florida meeting. So hopefully you guys join 2 p.m. all the way until we figure out what the hell's going on with the negotiations. So what do we know so far? We do know that the MLB PA will be using the 14-team playoffs as a bargaining chip to get what they want with the CBT and probably the arbitration pool, most likely. That's what they're using that 14-team playoff bargaining chip for, because the owners want the 14-team playoffs. So tomorrow you're probably going to hear a lot about the CBT and the playoffs, the teams in the playoffs. You're going to hear a lot of that. You're going to have to get into a little bit more about the arbitration, but they're going to focus on the CBT and the 14-team playoff tomorrow. Once again, guys, if you're just tuning in, please hit on that like button. Going to be with you until 6 o'clock tonight, guys. It's only a 2-hour show tonight. So get all your questions in. Get hit on that like button. Got about a half hour to go for this stream because there's not much more to talk about except for what we think the Mets are going to do and what we know about what tomorrow meetings are going to bring with the CBA meeting tomorrow when they meet on a Sunday. So get all your questions and opinions in for the next half hour of the show, guys. Let's see about the comments. Aiden, sorry, Mets got him. La Potencia, Bryant more than Freeman. I don't think the Mets are going to eat Cano's contract. I think they're going to give every opportunity for Robinson Cano to be the everyday DH. If the Mets don't like what they see, I think that's when they're going to cut him and eat the money. Yes, I do think it's Chapman's last year with the Yankees. Even if he performs very well, I think he's gone. I think the Yankees have a closer in the making in Loizaga. He's shown that he can pitch in every inning, late inning games. There's no point in the Yankees paying Chapman a lot of money. Last year at Chapman, Loizaga is going to be the Yankees closer going forward. I don't see the Yankees getting, again, I don't think the Yankees are spending big money on anybody. I don't think so. Even if the CBT goes up $15, $20 million, the Yankees have a lot of work to do. They need a shortstop. They're probably going to go low end on the shortstop. They need another rotation arm. I don't see the Yankees spending a lot of money. I think if they can get Trevor Story on a 1-year deal, Chris Bryant doesn't make no sense for the Yankees. They don't. The Yankees need a shortstop. Chris Bryant is not playing everyday shortstop for the Yankees. It just doesn't make sense. Your third baseman is Urshela. Your second baseman is Gleyber Torres. LeMahieu is going to be the first baseman unless they're going to sign Freeman or trade for a first baseman and Matt Olson, which I don't see the Yankees doing. It's just a logjam in the infield right now. I don't see the sneaky team for Chris Bryant is the Philadelphia Phillies. Watch out for them. Dave Dombrowski always makes a big move every offseason. You got to be careful with Chris Bryant going to the Phillies. I think Carlos Correa wants like an 8-year deal at the minimum. And there's only one or two teams that are probably willing to do that. Yes, they were. 100%. Yeah, I guess they can coexist, but I don't think the Mets are going to spend 7 years on an aging first baseman. It just doesn't make sense. New Yorker, what's up? Yeah, but the Mets needed another big arm behind Jacob deGrom. So Max Scherzer makes a lot more sense than Freddie Freeman. The reason why nobody talked about the Mets getting Max Scherzer because nobody expected the Mets to spend all that money on Max Scherzer. You know, everybody was talking about Carlos Rodon, Yusei Kikuchi, trading for Luis Castillo. Max Scherzer makes so much more sense than Freddie Freeman ever does. Yeah, the Brewers are not trading Hader. It's not happening. They're still trying to win the Central. They're not trying to trade Hader. Yeah, the Dodgers ain't giving up Max Muncy. They just gave him a deal. Then he ain't going anywhere. Oh yeah, New York. I agree. I 100% agree. But to make Pete Alonso your everyday DH is not going to help Alonso. And as much as great as Freddie Freeman is, the Mets can use that money that they're going to give Freddie Freeman a lot more places that can help the overall roster. I get Freddie Freeman's a great player, but I don't see the Mets doing it. It does not make a lot of sense. Yeah, that's fine, but that doesn't mean these two like each other. I'm telling you, McNeil is gone. McNeil is gone. Buck Showalter is going to stop a lot of the nonsense that would have went on last year. But there's a lot less players that are gonna cause problems because of the players that the Mets got. I don't think. Look, I think McNeil in his mind sees himself as a power hitter. I don't see McNeil hitting 300 again. But even so, even if McNeil goes back to his ways of batting 300, I'd rather have Chris Bryant over Jeff McNeil. It's that simple. I don't think Pilar is coming back to the Mets. I see more VR than PR. Harley, how you doing? Yeah, and the players realize that. I think the consensus around all the players when the Tony Clark went back to New York and spoke to more of the players, he realized that last proposal was not as bad as Tony Clark presented in that press conference. And that's why the players all of a sudden started to come back and talk about giving a proposal to the owners. Which, again, guys, just so you're clear, the players are coming back with a proposal tomorrow to the owners. So you're going to see the proposal from the players to the owners. Yeah, I think Cohen's getting more and more pissed of the owners. He's going to go crazy. I really think so. We missed the playoffs for the Wardy last year. Yeah, but the Mets were a borderline playoff team before they made the moves. So, Joe, how you doing, buddy? Yes, you made it. I'm only here for another half hour until 6 o'clock, guys, because there ain't much going on today. I just wanted to update you guys on what was going on, and what is going on tomorrow with the lockout. They will be talking tomorrow on a Sunday, and I am going live at 2 p.m. tomorrow. I don't know about the Red Sox. I don't know where they think they're at. They performed better than people expected, but I could see the Red Sox making a big move, but I still think they're going to stay under the luxury tax, whatever that might be. Well, he's not with the Yankees anymore, so he's going to play as long as he's healthy. The only big splash I can see them making is if they somehow get Freddie Freeman, but I don't think so, unless they can get Trevor Story on a one-year deal. I haven't heard much about Freeman to the Dodgers, but it kind of makes sense, right? Muncy can go back to second base. Freeman's your first baseman. That makes sense. Well, I wouldn't say if the Yankees fall on their face, which I don't think they will. I think they're still going to be a playoff team. Look, I don't think the Mets are going to be taking over the town. Now, again, if the Yankees have a few bad years in a row and the Mets have a lot of good years, you're going to see a lot more Mets caps, just like he did in 2015 when the Mets made the playoffs and the Yankees got knocked out in the wild card round. All you saw was Mets hats all around the city. There's a lot more, I guess, commotion when the Mets make the playoffs and the Mets are good, because the Yankees are more of, the Yankees made the playoffs again. Oh yeah, okay. Until the Yankees make a run in the playoffs, there's not a lot of noise around the Yankees, because it seems like the Yankees are constantly losing in the first or second round, and the buzz is not as high as it usually is. If the Yankees make the championship series and head to the World Series, that's when you're going to hear a lot of noise. But when the Mets make the playoffs, they're going to be the bigger story, because it doesn't happen often. But I don't say the Mets are going to take over the town, but we saw it in the 80s, right? The Mets were the talk of the town when the Yankees were bad. Can that happen again? Sure. But obviously the Yankees are the big boys in town. We all know that. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know what? George Steinbrenner is not around anymore. Hal Steinbrenner is more of a guy who looks at the books. It's unfortunate, but that's how it happens. Every team goes through it. The Yankees have been immune for it for 30 years. Every team goes through this. They'll spend for 3-4 years straight, and then they got to lower their books. They got to lower the payroll. Every team goes through it. The Yankees have been immune for it for 30 years. Now the Yankees are coming back to reality, just like all the other teams in Major League Baseball. Yankee fans are getting a taste of what every other baseball fan is going through. They're getting a taste of the medicine that we have had with every team. The Yankees are back to what every other team has to deal with. A couple of years, they're going to spend a lot of money, and then a few years after that, they're going to lower payroll. It's just the way it is now. The Yankees are just like every other team now. They look at the books now. It's just that simple. Let's see. I think the deal is going to get done soon. I don't know, New Yorker, you're talking about Jeff McNeil batting 300, 350. I don't see Jeff McNeil doing that again. If he does, he's not going to be with the Mets. Right now, yes. The Rangers are playing excellent. They just beat the Devils last night. And, the Mets are the up-and-coming team. Daniel, we are all very concerned about Edwin Diaz. But what I think Met fans have to put their minds set on, besides Hader, besides Iglesias in Los Angeles, in the Angels, every team has concerns about their closer. Bullpens in general are a crapshoot every year. You just hope that your bullpen's good that year. I think Diaz is going to be better. I don't think he's going to be great, but except for one or two closers in the league that I just mentioned, every other team's closer is a question mark. So the Mets aren't the only team that have to worry about a closer. That is a question mark. I'd rather have Edwin Diaz than some scrub that we don't know much about and pray that he's going to be a good closer. At least Edwin Diaz has the stuff to be a good closer. If he's on, he's untouchable. Let's just hope he's on more often than not. Hope so. There's a lot of progress tomorrow. Joe, I agree. I think the owners made a very fair deal besides the CBT, which is a little 50-50. But other than that, everything they offered was better. And in the players' side. And again, all the players want is the CBT to go up $10 to $15 million from what the owners offered. If the owners offer 230, I think the players are going to take that deal. 100%. That's what I think the players are focused on. If the CBT gets to 230, I think the players take that deal in a heartbeat. Especially if the owners get the 14-team playoffs, I think it's going to be a done deal. Yeah, I think Steve Cohen's going to go nuts. I think he's going to get about 4 or 5 more players. Chris Bryant, Yusei Kikuchi, 3 bullpen arms, and I think they're ready to go. I think it's going to be done by Tuesday, Joe. 100%. New York, it's not about the McNeil bashing. McNeil done this to himself. His attitude has been drastically different. He don't get along with Lindor. His production has gone down dramatically over the last 2 years, 2.5 years. Because in 2019, the second half, his average dropped dramatically. His power numbers went up. In 2020 and 2021, his power numbers went down along with his average. He is a useless player if he's not a 300 hitter on this team because he is not batting at the top of the lineup. Nimmo and Marte are 1-2. If McNeil wants to be at the top of this lineup, he has to bat 300 because if he bats 260, it doesn't help this team at all. And he has nowhere to bat in this lineup. McNeil is useless batting 6th or 7th in this lineup. We've seen it. Him batting 6 to 7 make no sense. I think the Mets are better off trading him, especially if they get Chris Bryant. Cliff Fraser's a head case, and he's never healthy. Exactly. At least they're talking. That's all I care about. Yeah, I agree. I wish I would have seen the poll. I mean, does it say how many people voted, Stoney? I think Aaron Boone's going to be Aaron Boone. He's going to make stupid decisions with the bullpen. He's going to take out his starting pitchers too early. He's going to kill his bullpen. And Aaron Boone is going to put up the lineup that the analytics team tells him. That's basically it. Jay, how you doing? Oh, man. I feel sorry for you, Jay. But I like your girlfriend more because she's a Met fan. So, but yeah, that's always fun, though. I never had a girlfriend that was a real baseball fan for the most part. So I didn't have to worry about that. But that's always an interesting conversation, right? I don't think the Mets are going to go after Judge. I rather think they just wait for Soto. Kershaw and Greinke, I don't want those two guys. Kershaw's a back injury waiting to happen. Greinke is scared of the spotlight. It doesn't make sense for the Mets. 100%. 100%. Soto over Judge for the Mets. I don't know what Chavez is. Chavez is an analytical guy. I don't know. I'm so sick of hearing about hitting coaches. The hell with that. Joe, I just saw you about the you messaged me about the ghost win. A ghost win is this, and I'm assuming you're talking about the playoff teams. If I'm not mistaken, let me just check your message. Yes, the ghost win is this. The team with the best record is getting the bye. So that's the ghost win. That the team with the best record in each league gets a bye. So they automatically win and go to the next round. That's what he's talking about. Because let me explain the 14 team playoff, guys. So people understand. Just give me a second. Give me 1 second before I go. Okay. So to explain the 14 team playoff and how that's going to work, I wrote it down because it's a little confusing for a lot of people. Okay, the 14 team playoff. We know what that is, right? Easy math. 7 teams in the AL, 7 teams in the NL. That means there is 4 wildcard teams. 4. 3 division winners, 4 wildcard teams, right? Everybody understands that. Here we go. The best team in each league, the best record in each league, gets a bye. The other 2 division winners gets to play the worst 2 wildcard teams. So the second best record in the league faces the last wildcard team, the 7th seed wildcard team. The third best record division-wise, the last division winner, which is the third best record in the league, faces the 6th seed wildcard guy. The wildcard seed 1 and wildcard seed 2 face off against each other. And whoever wins those goes into the divisional round. So basically, if you don't have the best record in your league, winning your division makes no sense because you're still playing in the wild card round in that 3-game series. The only difference is the 2 division winners with the second and third best record gets home field advantage throughout that wild card series, the 3-game series. And the number 1 wild card seed gets the home field advantage facing the number 2 seed. That's how it works. That's how you do it. So to explain it again, 7 teams makes the playoffs in each league. The best record in each league gets the bye, which is called the ghost win. They automatically go to the division series. The second and third best record that win the division face the 5th, the 6th, and 7th wildcard seed. The number 1 and 2 wildcard seed, which is the 4th and 5th seed, face off against each other. So everybody else plays in a wildcard round, the 3-game series, the best out of 3, except for the best record in each league, which is the ghost wins, who automatically go to the division round. And whoever wins those wildcard rounds, the worst record of those, the worst seed team that makes the next round, the division round, faces the team that had the bye in the divisional round. That's how it's going to work. So if everybody's clear. The pitch clock is going to be implemented. The shift is going to get banned, and the pitch clock is going to be added, and it's going to be enforced. And the way they're going to enforce the pitch clock is this: if you don't throw the pitch before the pitch clock is up, it's going to be a balk. So either the batter is going to go to first base, or the runners are going to advance. That's how it's going to work. Just so everybody knows. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be gone, Daniel. The 3-batter rule is going to stay. I think both sides, the owners and the players, like that. I don't like that. I feel like it takes the strategy out of the game because that rule is in place for pace of play. Because how many times have you seen managers put in a left-handed a pitcher for a left-hander, and then take out that pitcher right away to bring in a right-handed batter for the next two right-handed batters. That's why they do that for pace of play. I think that's gonna stay. Exactly. It's very similar to the NFL playoffs. So it is what it is. Pitch clock, Mike. Yeah, I don't like it either. Honestly, I don't like it, but they're probably going to implement it. And give me pizza. I like that. I like that. Yes, the bye makes. I don't like that at all because you get the bye, you're off basically a week. I think that hurts the number one seed. Yes, they can set up their pitcher rotation to the way they want it, but the team that played that wild card round, that won that wild card game, that series, is gonna have the momentum going in, and it's gonna hurt. In my opinion, like Give Me Pizza said, it's going to hurt the number one seed, 100%. Exactly. The Mets had a week off in 2015 before the World Series after they swept the Cubs, and it killed the Mets. I think that hurt the Mets momentum 100%. Give Me Pizza, that's 100% on point. 100%. Yes, I think Stanton's going to be better. If he plays left field every day, he's going to be fine. My 14-team playoff is overkill. I agree 100%, but I think that's the only way you're going to see baseball in April because the owners want the 14-team playoff. And if the owners don't get the 14-team playoff, they're not going to give what the players want in the CBT. So we're going to see a 14-team playoff, 100%. Merlin most likely they're the favorite. I believe so. I think they're a 100-win team easily, but it is what it is at this point. We're gonna have to get adjusted, just like we got adjusted to the 2-team wild card. We're gonna get adjusted to the 14-team playoff. Aiden, no, I don't think so. There you go, Merlin. That's exactly what it is. 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 5 versus 4 for the wild cards round in the best out of 3. That's exactly how it is. And then the worst seed out of these seeds face off against the number one seed. That's how it goes. That is the wild card format. 100 exactly. Well, I feel like Jansen is going back to the Dodgers, so they will have their closer. 100% Manfred is ruining the game. He's not a guy to lead a professional sports team. He's just not. He's worse than Roger Goodell. He's worse than Gary Bettman. He's just terrible. Yeah, let's hope they talk about some good stuff. We'll see. I agree. It's gonna hurt exactly. The teams that are on the edge of the playoffs are not gonna trade their players. They're gonna try to make trades, but there's less teams that are gonna trade for players. So 14 teams to make the playoffs. That means 16 other teams are not making the playoffs, but there might be 4 teams, maybe 5, that are not close to making the playoffs, and that's the teams that everybody's going to be trading for. Circo, I think the Mets are going to look into Freddie Freeman, but I don't think it's a priority, in my opinion. I don't think Manfred knows what he's doing. But again, he does work for the owners. The owners are telling him what to do. So everybody who's getting on Manfred, he's not doing this on his own. The owners are the ones that are going after, are telling him what to do. Yeah, the 14-team playoff, guys, if you don't know, is going to give the owners more TV money. They said it on Busted Only talked about it on ESPN yesterday. The owners, if there's a 14-team playoff, are going to be making about $100 to $120 million more in TV revenue. That money will be lost if there's not a 14-team playoff. So that's why the owners want it. No, they're gonna negotiate in New York. So, guys, it is 6 o'clock. I really want to appreciate everybody tuning in today, guys. Once again, guys, I will be live tomorrow. Just give me 1 second. But once again, guys, before I go, I will be going live 2 p.m. tomorrow for all the updates about the negotiations tomorrow at 2 p.m. So make sure you guys are there tomorrow, hanging out. I'm going to be from 2 o'clock all the way until we get the last bit of news. If there's a deal or there's progress, I will be with you until then. So join me tomorrow on a Sunday afternoon talking about the lockout. Once again, let's hope we get a deal done by early this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it, guys. If you're new to the channel, please hit on that subscribe button. And if you missed a lot of the stream, don't forget to replay this, guys. Check out the videos that I posted over the last week and a half. A lot of the streams were a lot of fun. If you want to check out that. Heathen, thank you guys for tuning in. We will see what's going to happen with the draft pick compensation. Heathen, I just saw that before I looked. It's a possibility that might go on the wayside. It might be implemented this year. We will see what is going to happen. But the big sticking points for tomorrow, guys, to look at for my live stream tomorrow. What's going to happen with the CBT and what's going to happen if the 14-team playoff is going to be implemented. Once again, guys, I really appreciate all the support you've been giving me. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 2. See you guys next time. Thank you for the support, guys. And as always, Met fans, let's go Mets. Have a good night, guys. See you guys tomorrow at 2.